So while everybody fights about Israel and Iran, I would just like to bring people's attention to something that I know is being suppressed, but I'm being suppressed, which don't talk about America being back when Americans are being suppressed by big tech, okay? I'm just saying, because the Constitution was written with the inspiration of God behind it. So God wanted the people to have free speech. He didn't want for people to carry on that America is back when free speech is not back, okay? Just saying. My opinion. No, not my opinion. Very obvious. Just my opinion. But the Puritans, look, I didn't realize, I've done so many videos throughout the years of doing videos about the Puritans, because the Pilgrims, they're so fascinating because, well, I can relate to them. Because they relied on God for everything, all the time. God was just like, God was just a part of them, like at every moment. But they fully relied on. And so when I've talked about them, I've said they remind me of what the modern day Israelites would be. Well, they saw themselves, they saw America as the new Israel. They did. I put up a video showing this, the historical evidence of this. But of course it's not going to get any views because we live under the technocrats and they want us to worship their false god. Yeah, so God, the biblical God, wouldn't be happy with that either. So don't say America's back just because of that alone too. Just being honest. But it was 20,000 of them. They called themselves the New Israel and referred to New England as their Zion, adopting Hebrew symbols and language to express their connection. So you may think, oh, well, there's cults all the time, because that's what likely the science would do because of their limited ability to think. But no, these were 20,000 of them that came under harsh conditions, facing disease, shipwreck, hypothermia, dangers. Many of them that died too that first winter here in Plymouth. There was many of them. But knowing that and still coming, I mean, that's the Holy Spirit is leading them. They believed absolutely that they were being divinely led, even the waves that came after them and were willing to suffer that. They left the comforts of England to risk their family and their lives because they said it was God that was leading them here. So then when you realize that America is only 250 years old. So we're a baby country, as I've said before. We're a tiny country. And next to Russia and China, we're like little. How did we become a superpower? Because of these people. Because God said, no, I'm going to raise it up. Because these people listened to me. These people listened to him. I mean, again, and that I understand it. That's why I've said they remind me of the modern Israelites, and then to read today that they literally followed that, like they fasted before they came. They saw that this was God leading them, and I don't think there's no doubt about that. And you'll read that they saw it as the new Israel or Christian Israel. That was what this was for. So that would be a big deal to God. That's what God was trying to raise the Israelites to become into maturity, to know him. These people knew him. They knew him so well that they risked their family, everything on the line, every day. I mean, that's a faith you just don't see anymore. You know, it's the part-time faith people have today. But they didn't name things after the saint, because part of the reason they came is they couldn't reform the Church of England from their Catholic ways. They saw themselves as chosen people, chosen by God to do this and to come no different than Exodus. And that's what gave them the strength to endure. And many people saw it as that because of what they did endure. The survivors attributed their endurance and eventual success to their faith and saw their survival and ability to establish a colony as signs of God's providence and favor, interpreting these events as spiritual confirmation of their mission. Absolutely, no doubt, especially so many of them. And many people did see the Puritan migration as remarkable and providential. And they came here because it was the new Israel, a city upon a hill with a model of Christian society. And yet, they all these different sects and came here, made these covenants. Our country has all of these covenants. And yet we have stupid people that carry on about, oh, our whole history we've been lied to. No, there's too much evidence for this. So if you don't listen to stupid people. No, this is a big deal for America. It's the only reason we weren't squashed a long time ago. Because even though man, technology, president, whoever it is, everybody thinks, no, God protects this land. I wish people would look at it more that way because, you know, I mean, it's not that God's against war. He's not. It's in the Bible that there's a time for war, there's a time for peace. So all these Christians running around saying God wouldn't support this and support that, yeah, you better be careful there because, I mean, if it's a just war, he does support it. But my point is that God singled out America to become what, because of what these people did. They were your Exodus of the 17th century. They were the mature form of the Israelites. I'm not saying they were exact descendants. They were Gentiles. But then the New Testament says how I will graft the Gentiles in. And the very fact that God raised up America, well, it's because of them. And we hardly give them any. Nobody ever pays. Everybody looks at the 1776, and yes, that's important too. But it's because of these people and their sacrifice and their absolute faith in that God that started the country to begin with, because it would have just been any other country except for their covenants they made with God. America is truly, I mean, it's God's land. I'm not saying Israel, that's not what I'm trying to say though that we didn't just get lucky because of whatever, things you want to point to. And no, we've been protected and raised up by God. And it's important to remember why. And it's important to remember this because if you were born, especially if you were born here, but anybody who even, becomes a legalized citizen, of course, but if you were born here, you need to realize how absolutely blessed you are to have been born in this country. And how you do not want tech doing any trampling all over your First and Fourth Amendment rights, okay? Which is your privacy. Because our very Constitution was written with the inspiration of God behind it. And that needs to be respected. And the very fact that Silicon Valley and big tech don't respect it, and they see to it that it's okay to shadow ban and silence people like me, yeah, it's because you hate our God. And guess what? The same God that these people came here and founded this country and built it on will be the same God that will crush you.